right, I'm going to refresh here. Consider this part 2. That was not an issue on my end. That was an issue on BeLive's end. I'm going to do a quick note to all of you guys. Like I say, anything can go wrong in a live. It's kind of a bummer. Good old BeLive TV. Join me for part 2. Go ahead and refresh your Facebook page. You'll find me in a second, which is kind of a nice place to split it up, actually. Join me on part 2. I'm here. Let's see if you're coming in. But basically, so what we were doing was we were talking about sort of the 5 top things that I took away from YouTube. So basically, in a nutshell, it is you want to think like a creator. Teresa, that's perfect. I'm going to go ahead and recap now. Good old BeLive. It frustrates me sometimes when I literally got a notification that said it was an error on their end. What are you going to do? One of these days we'll get a reliable platform that actually works. So basically what I was talking about, the 5 top things from YouTube are think like a creator, not an admin. You want to think about the overarching story you want to tell. You don't want to be reactive anymore. Your social media channels are more than communities. It's where you can actually have a platform and share your story. Teresa, did you have a specific question that you wanted me to answer? Let me know, because I'd love to sort of workshop this. RJ, let me know if you did. I hope the rest of the group can join us. But that was basically the top 5. So think like a creator, not an admin. Let me know if you guys can hear me too. The second thing is don't put all your eggs in one basket. Go ahead and make sure that you are playing on other platforms, sort of beyond the main one. You also want to make sure that you put purpose behind every second you spend on Facebook. So you want to make sure you have a nice, smart social media strategy. I was hearing, here they all come. RJ, looks like we've got, hopefully Corinder can join us again and a few other people. And Dwayne. RJ, jump back to the old one and let messenger a few people, if you wouldn't mind, to get them back over. There's Corinder. Look, the gang's all back. Thanks, guys. I was just recapping what I just talked about for Teresa, who was just joining us later. So this all worked out anywhere. Being the creator is what comes natural to me as a reformed teacher. So this is really important, Teresa. And so now maybe could be our opportunity to dive deeper and help you workshop these. This was sort of the biggest thing that came out of YouTube, was the thinking like a creator. Now, this was an event for creators, people who create web series, you had people in film. Their natural instinct is to create content. So I'm very well aware that that might not be where a lot of us play. We run businesses. But if you think about it, we all can tell a story. We all can simplify that story, and we all have the opportunity to bring ourselves forward into that story. It doesn't mean you have to get emotional. It doesn't mean you have to give away information you'd rather remain private. A lot of my life is very, very private, but what I like to do is sort of drip feed information out that I know has allowed people to relate to me, because that's what I want to relate to. I'm more than just a woman in Los Angeles. There's a lot of facets of my life. Teresa, you have a story to tell. Corinder, same with you. So I love it. I think that the fact that you have a teaching ability, a teaching skill, sort of makes you a natural storyteller, I think, because, you have to think about communicating messages in a way that's simple. Ultimately, I know you work with kids, so you have to really, really keep that message super simple. So you could probably give me tips on how to simplify my message. Corinder, I know you share great comments, so I want to share some of yours. Corinder is saying, and also if you want to sell your product, there are many creators as natural on TV and newspapers. I don't know if I make my typing clear. It's very clear, Corinder, absolutely. Yeah, there are many creators you can follow. That's another tidbit I got. One of the best things that came out of these 2 days at YouTube was turning to my left and turning to my right and just meeting and conversing offline with other like-minded individuals. Good old-fashioned networking. So my advice to you would be like, where's an opportunity for you to do that? So again, we were talking about faith-based or parent or community. Where's an opportunity for you to do that locally with other like-minded businesses, or maybe to get in front of your customers and just spend some time together. As much as I love marketing and social media marketing, I probably shouldn't say this, a huge chunk, the majority of my business, my revenue still comes through word of mouth. And that's having 15 plus years in the industry, it coming back to me. Now my social media, and this is another takeaway from YouTube, your social media presence is what's known as your social proof. It's kind of like your living legacy, your an archive, a reference point for people to check before they invest in you. Does that make sense? It's just, we used to just have a website. People would say, oh, Paul Smith. I'm just going to Google Paul Smith, Fort Lauderdale CPA. Let's see how good Paul is. Oh, he's got a nice website. He's got a couple of good reviews. Fine. And to be fair, that's where a lot of people still start and stop the research. But if you look younger, especially younger generations, or when you're in the consumer world, people check out your social media. It's just one more checklist, one more point of reference that people frankly know they need to go to get a better feel of who you are, whether they want to buy from you or not. I think the stat is 8 out of 10 people buy or invest in a brand on social media based on their digital presence. I still see companies that have zero social media presence, and I'm like, I don't know who you're trying to sell to, but if it's anyone, under the age of 40, you're not going to get them. And some businesses don't need social, if they're sort of on their way out or strictly B2B or, not necessarily consumer brand, but everyone else like us needs to be on social. And you're also saying, and also LinkedIn. I love how you won't give up on LinkedIn, Karinder. Very important. What else can I share from you about YouTube? Ads work. Like anything, so having a strategy with your ads makes sense. Oh, I was talking about crowdfunding, I think, before I got the boot in the last one. I know a lot of you don't crowdfund but maybe some of you are looking to drive donations, but certainly all of us would like to sell more stuff. We had a nice conversation about asking for money, which I think is sort of universal when it comes to, we're asking for money when we're selling stuff. We're asking people to invest in us. So that was a really interesting conversation directly from YouTube. And it's sort of like, know what's awkward, know what turns people off. Asking for money outright obviously does. It all comes back to, you have to pay it forward. So a great example from crowdfunding is, if I've got a local person asking me to sort of Indiegogo or invest in their product, I better invest in them if I ever have any hope of them investing in me. One of the conversations was great. It was sort of like, you definitely didn't invest in my project, and here you are asking me to invest in yours. Like, that's cheeky, right? And while that's not apples to apples, I think the same can be said from us. If you go into a space, it's all about paying it forward. You have to, as a brand, offer something up. Like, I don't charge for these weekly live sessions. Like, I never will. I know people that charge to be on their shows. I will never do that. I don't think it's fair to ask guests to pay to be on my show. It's a thank you for your time. I know you coming on my show is going to give my audience value. So that's my way of paying it forward. And I know a lot of you guys do live streaming, which is great. So that's the value you bring. But that's another question too. It's like, if you're struggling for content, think about it this way. What can you sort of offer up free? What is something? Is it insight? Is it an ebook? Is it a quiz? Just to offer it up. And I think that's kind of the icing on the cake. That's the larger thing. I know a lot of marketers tell you that you should sort of dangle out a high value something to get emails. I want you to stop thinking about that as the sole reason to give stuff away. Consumers, especially younger consumers, hate email. The old email sign up lists is going to be more difficult. You don't have to trick people, I think, anymore into signing up for an email. Why not just give up or offer up a slice of that high value thing for free without any expectation? Maybe it's the first 5 pages of your ebook, but don't give it out if they don't get value out of those 5 books. It's almost like remove the trickery, remove the mystery, remove the strategy or the intention behind giving up something. Just give it out. Gary Vaynerchuk is really good at this. Gary Vay, he'll just sit down and give free insight. He's not saying, if you want more, go to my book. If you go to any of his social media sites, you'll know he's selling stuff. You're going to want to go invest in him. You're going to go want to watch him speak. You're going to go want to buy his products. But every message out of his mouth isn't, by the way, do this or sign up. Like, I have a course I'm teaching. Like, I'll let you know about Live Show Mastery when I'm done here. But the expectation for me talking to you today is just to maybe share a little bit what I learned at YouTube, not to dangle it out as something, as a teaser. I think we see too much of that, and it's getting really annoying. So please don't do that. And don't do that on other social media channels. We're seeing people use old strategies on other channels, and it's horrible. Instagram, I'm talking about you. All right, Teresa, you're saying, however, backing up the lesson with engaging story is something I feel I lack with. That's really interesting, Teresa. I wonder if, let's workshop that just for a minute. Can you personalize the lesson plan? Can you bring yourself or a real world situation to be the narrative of the lesson? So rather than teaching a skill set, and I don't know what you're teaching, maybe it's math or maybe it's play, maybe create a story out of it. And you do this already as a teacher because I know you work with kids. It doesn't have to be your story. Maybe you can just pull from part of your experience. Maybe it's something that your family, maybe it's just something you experienced as a kid or whatnot. But it doesn't have to be strictly your story that you're bringing forward, but try to wrap it up in a way that is understood, that can be more of a story and engaging, a real world scenario. Does that make sense? Hey, Crinder, what happened? I don't know. Be live, talk to them. They booted me off. What else do we have? Old strategy on other channels is where to stop doing it. Thank you, RJ. So I'm going to leave you guys with this because this was definitely talked about YouTube. And ask me questions, you guys, because I'm here, and then I'm going to jump to Instagram. I haven't seen any of you do it. I've seen other people do it. They're literally holding up their book. They're using the same sort of like enroll, buy, whatever. They're literally using the same sales strategy that has passed so far on Facebook, on Instagram. Don't do it. It's not apples to apples. One of the biggest conversations at YouTube is like, you need to really understand the different personalities and the natures and the expectations of what's cool and not cool on other channels. You can't shill your book and say, buy my book on Instagram. It's annoying. Those sponsored ads, sorry, not going to click on them. If you want to create a quick boomerang with like a really cool font that flashes in front of me for 2 seconds with a learn more, I'll click on that. But don't use the old school. I'm seeing a lot of this, and I don't mean to be specific or like point fingers, but I'm seeing a lot of marketers who've clearly come up through the ranks. They have massive success. These are some big names I'm seeing, just literally using the same videos to sell. And it's like on Instagram, I don't want to hear from you that way. If you show me a cool collage or an animated GIF, or your photos just are more along the lines of what I expect to see on Instagram, I'll click on it. But please don't be one of those people. There's a clear difference, and it's an age group. I'm seeing this. There's a clear line between people sort of, they've been in business maybe 15, 20 years, doing it poorly and really awkwardly on places like Instagram, where they really should stop and just focus on Facebook, or they really should learn how to do it differently on Instagram. I hope I'm not throwing shade, but you guys, it's really annoying. And I'd rather click and share and buy from you, but okay. So that's just some medicine that I want to just like dose out. It's definitely talked about at other social media channels. And it's not hard to understand. It's just different nuances and stuff. You just can't sell the same way because it really annoys people. I hate sponsored ads on Insta. Exactly. I actually don't mind ads on Instagram, but it's the people who are using the same strategy. Their videos are literally the same annoying ones that we see on Facebook that they think will work on Instagram. They probably have put huge budgets behind them. They're probably getting clicks, but I just know the feeling I have on my end. It's like, gross. I don't want to see that. Not on Instagram. I'll see that and I'll probably buy from you on Facebook, but don't do it on Insta. So you heard it here first. Harinder, I agree. They need to stop because it's not professional and it's disrespectful. Boom. Teresa, you have enough to say about this. Oh God, No, I just did this as part of a video in my group. Don't worry about it. It makes sense on different channels. Just know the channel. Like, just know the channel. That's all. Old strategy, RJ's saying, email is okay for business. Corinder, absolutely. I'm not saying ditch email. I'm saying just know when to use it, but also pay attention to different demographics. Pay attention to how there are different preferences as people age up, age out, prefer to spend their time. All I'm saying is the ecosystem is changing. And again, just going back to the very beginning, think like a creator. What content engages your audience? How can you slice it and dice it? How can you create snackable content that quickly and easily communicates who the heck you are, what you're doing, shows that you enjoy what you're doing? That's the thing. Try to show that you enjoy what you do. That makes for the best story. It doesn't always have to be marketing content that you push out to people. In fact, it shouldn't. And that's where you can bring more of yourself in. Share with people why you started your business, why you love to do what you're doing. You know, a client success story. It's like people want to relate. People want to see other happy people on social media. So if you're struggling for content, think like a creator, because your success is part of your story, right? So try to bring that into what you share. And less is more, you guys. Jump on a live and do it. Take a few photos and do it. Take a walk and podcast it. I'm telling you, it's like people, again, are hungry and are starving for content and are specifically looking for people like you that they can relate to. And again, whether they're buying from you or not, you're going to resonate with them. And before you know it, they're going to follow you. They're going to like you. And it's the power of word of mouth. They're going to become an advocate for you. Be like, have you guys heard of Corinder? He's awesome. He goes live every week. Did you know that? I know you're looking for this product. You might want to actually check him out. Boom, referral. That's the best kind, right? So much more powerful than an awkward ad on Instagram. All right, you guys, I have to honor my own rules, and I'm actually going to jump over to Instagram and do a highlight reel. I hope this was helpful. Some of this might not have been rocket science. There's a ton of information on YouTube. This was part 2. If you just caught me here, go back on my page, you'll see part 1. Sorry about that. But I think most of you came back over. If you haven't subscribed yet, just go to jessicapayne.us. Just click on this profile. You can go back to my page, subscribe. Last but not least, someone did ask me to mention my course at the very end, Live Show Mastery. If you haven't enrolled and you're specifically interested in using these strategies, but also live video, you can enroll in my course. We'd go beyond Facebook. We talk about all the different channels, and it's a lot of fun. So, and if you use, I have a code in the offer. If you use Go Live Now, you actually get a month free, which is pretty awesome. So I will put a link to that in the comments. But if you're interested in Live Show Mastery, just type in the comments, enroll me, and I will send you a direct message. Cool beans? Guys, YouTube has a ton of information. I might even do a part 3 next week. But if you want to see how this whole other social media platform thing works, go on Instagram. Use me as an excuse if you're not on there yet. Jump over and follow me at jpaynebu on Instagram. If you haven't already, I just left it in the comments. And I'm literally going to jump there right now and do a highlight reel of just some of my favorite. And we can take this conversation further. Cool beans? Let me just check the comments one more time. I think we're good. King, hey, how's it going? I'm actually jumping over on Instagram. If you're on, I would love to take this conversation further. King, if you have a question about YouTube or for me, direct message me or leave it in the comments. I promise I'll get back to you. But let me know. That's what sort of this part 1 and part 2 were. But hi from Kuala Lumpur. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Shout out to my Malaysian family. She says she loves seeing ads, but if it's about free trainings, I feel that everyone is doing it. Yes. And they're annoying because nothing's free, right? You totally hit on it. King, I hope you're on Instagram. Join me over there. Let's talk about that. And we can workshop that. But for the rest of you guys, thanks for hanging. Join me on Insta right now, or if you have comments about YouTube or specific questions about YouTube, I can get back to you on that. There was a ton of information shared, but hopefully this can actually give you some insights. All right, so start thinking like a creator, less as a social media administrator, and bring your personality forward. It's just going to pay off in the long run. Cool beans? All right, I'll see you guys next week. Join me every week, Jessica Payne Live, Tuesdays, 8 a.m. Pacific, here on Facebook. I'll see you guys soon. Bye.
The podcast you just heard was recorded with Anchor. If you want to make your own, download the Android or iOS app completely free from anchor.fm/podcast. That's anchor.fm/podcast.